critical component of our work together is on finance, and that is mobilizing access to finance, city-level finance, to actually implement resilience actions. So resilience is really about a holistic approach. It's about understanding the interconnected nature of the different parts of the urban system across social, environmental, and economic scales. Because increasingly there's not a big line between DRR and resilience. But conventionally or traditionally there had been. Really, you talk about DRR, you would talk about natural hazards. The way that you would determine whether a DRR intervention was successful is after the fact, based on avoided losses or avoided damage to assets. Resilience is a bit trickier to measure. It's really much more forward-looking, and that measurement, that ROI on resilience is still something that we're all working on getting right, because the measurement part is going to be critical when it comes to making resilience investments. But it's still a bit early days for that. So one of the biggest differences is that resilience is really, again, about this holistic approach. It's not just about natural hazards. It's not just about those threats that are coming from climate change. It's about the other protracted crisis, it's about perennial stresses, it's about unemployment, it's about health, it's about lack of access to adequate basic services and safe shelter. It's about all of these things that all cities around the world face, all of these constant challenges. I mean, why invest in resilience? You know, in understanding the interconnected nature, again, of the urban system, you know, what does it actually mean for us? It's about job creation, it's about protection and strengthening of ecosystems, it's about social and economic inclusion, it's about security. How do you measure those resilience across different scales and parameters? And that's really what we're talking about. So it's not just, you know, one shock or one hazard, but a multitude, and critically, the interplay between these, and the interplay between these different parts of the urban system. So robustness is pretty clear, the ability to withstand shocks and disruptions, coordinated, sharing knowledge, so that, you know, one improvement can improve another part of the system. Disasters, climate change, other threats like pandemics, and unknown threats. All of these components have to be considered when discussing or thinking about resilience and thinking about resilience investments. All of these tools and methodologies are, you know, some of them are quantitative, some of them are qualitative, most of them are qualitative. Many of us aspire to get to a quantitative way of measuring resilience, again, really with the understanding that there is a gap there in the return on investment for resilience, and we're trying to close that gap, and one way we're trying to do that is through the development of these tools and methodologies. So in a few weeks' time, we will be launching an online platform that'll have information about these different tools and diagnostics and how they compare. And the ultimate goal being that cities will understand, you know, that different tools offer different levels of capacity, they take different financial resources and human resources to implement. So there are many different approaches, and again, some are qualitative, some are early stage quantitative. But ultimately, the goal for all of these tools is to help cities to prioritize plans and actions and investments in resilience. And one way to start to do that after you apply some of these tools is the creation of resilience action plans. So it helps you to inform better the decisions that you make. It helps to, again, prioritize areas for intervention, but critically, it's meant to help you understand that interconnected nature. So you're not just you're making an investment in one area without thinking about inclusiveness or coordination or other areas and the potential impact and transformation that that investment could have in other areas. So I just want to give you a quick example, and I don't mean to pick on my hometown of Nairobi, but of what I mean. So in Nairobi, and you should know this being here in Ethiopia, there's something called the Super Thika Highway. The Super Thika Highway goes from Nairobi to Ethiopia. I've never driven it that long. I would never try to do that. But apparently that's what it is, and it's a $300 billion, it's a massive road, and we drive on the Super Thika Highway regularly just to get to other places. And what you notice is it's this great road, its connectivity is, you know, ambition is there, but around this road There was no thought given to the housing, to other transport, to, for example, low carbon transport. I mean, only, I think it's less than 6% of people have cars, and generally in Africa. So there's an opportunity, huge opportunity for the development of low carbon transport, for access to jobs, access to markets. But that road wasn't designed in that resilience, with that resilience thinking. So we talk about resilience, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's very difficult, especially when you're thinking about big infrastructure projects. But that's the ambition. And so that's what we'll be speaking about when we get to Paris in a couple of weeks, COP21. So just one of the high-level session we have, which in fact we're delighted that the World Bank and Mayor Kuma from Addis Ababa will be joining us, along with the Rockefeller Foundation, World Economic Forum, World Resources Institute, UNISDR, and OECD. We'll also be formally launching this new partnership between the Medellin Collaboration and the Cities Alliance for a new program on resilient cities, which will run through 2017, and have a little bit of grant money to further develop our tools and hopefully work more with all of you here.
Ethiopia is engaged in rapid and comprehensive development activities to transit from poverty to sustainable and reliable prosperity. The last 10 years, we have achieved double-digit growth. In fact, the growth in city is slightly more than the national growth. This growth has a big impact on poverty and employment creation, particularly millions of population living both in urban and rural area lifted out of poverty. 10 years ago, the number of people living under poverty line was both in urban and rural area 38%. Now this number reduced to 22%. We also created huge amount of employment both in rural and the urban area. Cities are projected to play a greater role in this transformation process. And so the city's contribution to this transition process in Ethiopia was very huge, and it will continue to serve as one of a site for the continuity to our economic growth. Addis Ababa is rapidly urbanizing. With the current rate of urbanization, the population of Addis will be doubled in the coming 10 to 15 years. This has both opportunities and challenges. One of the challenges is to provide infrastructure and create employment, and also social vulnerability might be one of the challenges. Addis Ababa faces potential shocks like earthquake, flood particularly. There are areas which are very prone to flood, informal settlement in this area, and also fresh water, as well as storm water floods are occurring every year. Particularly seasonal floods are one of the problems we are facing. There are also employment problem, social vulnerability problems, water stresses, provision of adequate sewerage system in the city can be taken as some of the shocks that we are facing currently. Any effort to improve the resilience of Addis has to closely aligned with the city's vision to create a safe and livable city. and also contribute to the country's vision to reach a middle-income country in the coming, maybe in 2025. And also it has to contribute to create a better African capital. We have to maintain the existing water supply system and also try to search for new water supply sources. Maybe this year we will launch one medium dam on the west part of Addis, which will have a capacity to produce 100,000 cubic meter every day. So densification and TOD approach to Addis development is one of the most important issue that we have to really address. The third point is reducing flooding in city. Currently, we are trying to build new condominium houses. Every year, the government has a capacity to build some 40,000 units of houses, and we are relocating people from slum and very old area to safe and very livable new condominium houses. Or there are also other options, for example, the riverside development approach and the upper catchment treatment methodologies. And there are many projects in this area which will really reduce flood and also reduce the vulnerability of those people living in this flood-prone area. The fourth point is upgrading the energy system. Currently, two big projects are under construction in Addis. One is to upgrade the old systems like the transmission system. The second project is the decentralized and off-grid energy production and energy supply system in the city. The last recommendation was productive safety net. We already rectified the policy last year, and this year is an implementation year. We also get resources from donor. And so urban productive safety net will continue to be implemented this year. This will really relieve thousands of families living under what we call really extreme poverty. Generally, these collections of recommendation, if we really get finance and implement it in a very well manner, and then it will transform the resilience capacity of Addis. You can understand the level of resilience of Addis, what the Addis is doing to improve the resilience capacity. And so, I hope the policymakers and practitioners in the city are very keen and very committed to implement all these recommendations. I hope you will see the resilience of Addis will be highly improved soon. Thank you very much.